I will rebuild!
What is up, everybody? Hope you're having a beautiful day. I know you've been waiting a long time for this episode, so I will not keep you waiting any longer. Let's check out episode 40 of I Will Rebuild. So beginning day 251, we get a magic level 94 magic, which is a pretty iconic level. It's where you unlock Ice Barrage and Vengeance. Sadly, these things are kind of outdated, not really relevant to the game anymore, especially the way I play, so I won't be using either of them. And funny enough, I got this magic XP from the Crackling perk, so even though I was ranging, I got a magic level, and that kind of surprised me. It was pretty funny. Moving on, though, after that we completed the Haunted Mine quest. This is a requirement not only just for Questscape and everything along those lines, but it is important in being involved in the Mauritania task set, which is something that I have been working on. So very cool to get this quick and easy quest done and out of the way. Hellward Task Mine wound up being around a 2 mil split. Didn't really get anything good, but it is kind of nice when you go to God Wars Dungeon 2 and wind up with around 2 mil per hour split between two people as well. So it's not an awful time, very worth the time invested to me. After that, I did finally complete all of the Ardoon tasks, which is very nice to have done. Another elite task set done, out of the way, knocked out, checked off. Nothing I have to stress about there anymore, which is always so cool. Nice thing about the Ardoon task set, though, is that not only can I use the cape for increased pickpocketing chance if I'm at elves or something along those lines, but it also unlocks unlimited teleports to the farming patch, which just means that I'm slightly more motivated to do my herb runs, which are always very good for money and very good for strange rocks as well. And of course, you guys know me, putting all of that XP straight into Divination felt so good. After that, finally, decided to knock out Nomad's Requiem. Still haven't gotten around to doing Nomad's Elegy. At least I don't think I have, as far as I can remember. It's been a very long time since I've been trying to keep track of everything, but getting this quest done is very nice. It's a requirement for the Varrock Elite task set, trying to make progress toward all of those task sets, and getting this done is a very good step in that direction. Decided to grab the blue cape, kind of just for shits and giggles. No real reason, thought it looked nice, and nice thing about this is that it actually does give a higher prayer bonus than the Ardoon cape that I just upgraded. So whenever I need high prayer bonus, this is what I can use. Again, with that done, had only a few tasks left in the Varrock Elite task set, so I finished that up, which is awesome. There really isn't a big difference in upgrading Varrock 3 to Varrock 4. It's really more so just for me to have done and out of the way as far as Taskmaster and everything along those lines goes. Wanted to obviously get all of the tasks done before I max, just because you get those really hefty XP lamps from it. So that's kind of more where I was going and finishing this than anything. After that, while I was knocking out a Corp Reaper with a friend of mine, got to 93 strength, which is pretty cool, making solid melee progress there. Coincidentally, got this during a Cannonball drop, which is just bank loot if you're at Corp. I believe it's Cannonballs, Uncut Onyx, or Onyx Bolts rather, and the Anti-Poison drops that are some of the most valuable from Corp as far as not being a sigil, so I was very happy to have gotten that. Also got to 97 hit points while I was here at Corp. Just very solid progress there. Not a whole lot to say about it, though. Similar to Hellward, we got almost a 2 mil split from Corp. I don't think we had even stayed the whole instance either. I'm pretty sure we had only done maybe 16 kills or so max, because we were only trying to finish our tasks, and that was what he had because he has extended tasks activated. So for us to have made this much split in probably only somewhere between 16-20 kills was just very cool, very worth the time invested. That is finally the end of day 251. Got so much done in this day. It was very awesome. 2545 total level and 258.2 million XP. Let's move on to 252. Now, it was around this time that Jagex was doing the whole Meraki build up and quest hype and everything for the new Vampire quest coming out. So I decided to finally get along to doing all of that little pre-quest sort of stuff. Got the Vampire plushie, kind of cool. Don't think I'm ever actually going to use it, but still something that's nice to have should I ever actually want it. Now, for those of you who have been watching my cash pouch kind of fluctuate a lot frequently and very curiously, this is just kind of showing some of my bigger purchases and investments and everything, just kind of showing where my money has been in and where it's going into. At least back then. It's obviously in a different place now, but I did have a long-term PACAC investment that just didn't really work out the way I'd expected it to, and had also been just flipping some rares at the same time. So that is why we see the drastic shifts in my cash pouch. Sadly, that investment didn't go as nicely as it could have, but you cannot win them all. While I was at Aquanites, another level 10 Black Salamander got me to level 80 Invention when I disassembled it. Feels good, man. Being at 80 at my lowest skill, just being able to have that quote-unquote 80s cape, even though you can get the 80s milestone cape without invention. You can get any of the milestone capes without invention. I think that's just because it's an elite skill. Regardless, it does feel really nice to be able to say that my lowest skill is 80 at this point, and it's just a really, really cool level in that regard. Now, if you guys will remember, in the very beginning of this episode, I was at Celestial Dragons, and as you might have been knowing or paying attention to, I've been using augmented black salamanders for all of my range training just because I can disassemble them. They're incredibly cheap, and I mean, tier 70 really isn't that bad. Unfortunately, though, what the Celestial Dragons taught me was that tier 70 is just not good enough anymore for my purposes, and I decided to finally take it upon myself to start augmenting royal crossbows. So here's a clip of me at Queen Black Dragon trying to do that. I have never actually made an augmented royal crossbow before, and by that I mean I had never actually brandished a royal crossbow before, so of course I had never augmented one. And I'm not great at QBD. I'm obviously getting better because I've been doing a handful of these at this point. But this is just me being really bad and trying to improve myself as a PVMer as far as brandishing things at QBD goes, but have made really great progress, have definitely gotten a lot better at this, and that's something I am proud to say, and feels very good to have upped my standards in terms of just being able to use tier 80 ranged and disassemble this as well. Again, still at Aqua Knights, got myself to level 12 in both of my armadillo pieces, which was really cool. Siphoning these got me to level 81 in Menden, so very, very cool progress just in that skill overall for the day, being 2 siphons and a disassemble. Just absolutely ridiculous XP, feels great. Afterward, using my new royal crossbow, a steel dragon task got me to level 94 ranged. Very steady progress there overall, feels awesome. Would really like to get this up toward 98, just because, well, obviously 99, but at 98 I can use the Hex Hunter bow, which, even though I know it's not great in dungeoneering, it is something that I really like to have keepsaked. I had it keepsaked on my old man, and I would really like the keepsake on this account. So as soon as I get to 98, you bet that I will definitely be camping dungeoneering and really trying to get that beautiful keepsake. Continuing on that Steel Dragon task, I got a Draconic Visage, and now I know this isn't like a monumental drop. I've shown much better drops in this series alone, but I had never actually gotten a Visage ever on any account. So I was actually really, really hyped to have gotten this just because it was more of a personal achievement and a personal milestone than it was something that would be monumentally helpful for my bank, if that makes sense. It was just kind of like a very nice personal achievement. I was really, really happy about it. I was actually really excited, like an unreasonable amount of excited, but I really wanted to throw that in and share that with you guys. Just breaking boundaries with this account. It is so cool. I did end the day there, though, at 2548 total level and 261.6 million XP. Some awesome invention XP through the day. As you can see, Iron Metrics, almost 1.4 million XP just in invention. Feels great. Let's move on to day 253, though. Had a Rune Dragon task, probably one of the first ones I've had on this account, if not the first, and got a very cool rare drop table drop. Decided to PC that to see how much it was worth. 400k in Addy bars, definitely not going to complain with that one. Now, I don't remember if I hadn't noticed that my crossbow was at level 10, or if I just really wanted to finish my Rune Dragon task before I got a new one. Regardless, did train a little bit past 10. Kind of, not the best, but it's not the worst thing either. So disassembling that, unfortunately, did not quite get me a level. Levels are just spaced out enough that it's going to take a couple disassembles in between them a lot of the time. Feels bad, but it is still really cool progress and great XP. Working on a Chaos Giant task, a task I actually really did not care for too much. Was not a fan at all, but more importantly, I got to 95 Slayer, which is very, very good. With 95 Slayer, I unlock Gonodermic Beasts, which, if you don't know, can be really, really great, not only Slayer and Magic XP, but very profitable as well. And it was the preferred way for a lot of people to train Invention for quite a while, just because you could train there with augmented Gonodermic Armor and an augmented, whether it be Staff of Light or a Crystal Staff. And the money you would make from drops would counteract the money that you would spend on buying and augmenting that gear. So it just kind of goes to show that they can be very profitable, and it's something that I'm very, very looking forward to getting as Slayer tasks. Cannot express it. I am so excited. Yet another Corp task, another level. Got myself to 93 defense at this point. Not a special level, but it is still great progress. After that, I was AFKing thieving so hard I didn't even realize that I got a level until well after I had teleported to Prip Center, which is kind of embarrassing. Supposed to be on top of that, I'm trying to record a series here, but got myself to 93 thieving, can now pickpocket Kadarn, and I guess if I was to boost, I could pickpocket all the way up to Kerwis, which is the 97 clan. So all in all, looks pretty good, making very good progress in thieving, and I am definitely looking forward to training this some more. That was the end of this day, though, at 264.9 million XP and 2551 total level. Let's move on to day 254. Began this day with a 94 divination from caches. Always feels good to actually see progress in divination from caches because I'm very bad at motivating myself to do the 2 every day that I need to be doing. And talking specifically from right now, if I had done 2 caches every day, I would probably be well past 99 at this point, so I am definitely slacking, but I am not awfully far off either, and I will definitely be making that progress in the future. As you can see, though, I am in NXT at this point. It does kind of fuck with my cursor a little bit as I record, but it looks gorgeous, and I'm sure you guys will agree it's very worth it. Hitting the Citadel did get myself to level 94 smithing, like pretty much every smithing level that I've ever commentated. Not important, but still good progress nonetheless. Just never going to train with any of these things. But, I mean, again, still very cool to actually see that XP building up. Now, at this point, I'm back in Java. I think this was because I was streaming, and in the beginning of NXT's release, OBS really didn't want to pick it up, so whenever I had to stream, I needed to stream in Java. Regardless, I got an effigy, which is awesome, mostly because I hadn't gotten hardly any effigies in a very, very long time on this account, so I was super, super excited about it. Not to mention the fact that, you know, most of my stats are 90 plus. I should be able to open a lot of these steps, and that was what was more exciting than anything. And now even cooler than an effigy is a second effigy. So I was just fucking ecstatic because this is such a great amount of XP, not only in opening it, assuming I can do a handful or more of the steps, but also in the lamp you get at the end. I believe I put these into divination. It was just so, so great, and I was so thrilled to have gotten this. So I did have to request assistance for 1 or more of the steps. I needed 95 smithing, and there might have been something else that I wasn't really able to pick up in rewatching these clips, but getting 2 Dragonkin lamps was so good. I did wind up putting these into divination as I had predicted, and oh my goodness, those XP drops are so, so sexy. After that, had finished the Broken Home quest. Main reason for this is just I really wanted to make progress toward getting better gear, and included in that is the Asylum Surgeon's Ring. Need to replay Broken Home in order to get that. It did take me a couple tries just because in my first try I was still kind of learning how to do everything and still kind of remembering everything from the quest. And sadly, toward the very, very end, when you have the monster thing chasing you, I got 1 hit in the one room where it spawns like on top of you, and you need to go through the room just next to where you were. So that was super, super unfortunate. I was kind of tilted considering I devoted like 28, 30-ish minutes toward getting that far into the quest, only to get bopped in the replay, but that's okay. Wound up redoing it, got it the second try, and it was so, so awesome. So worth it. Love using the ring, and if you don't have it, I highly, highly recommend it. I had been streaming this, though, and at this point it was super early in the morning, so I needed to end the day immediately after that. 2553 total level and 286.7, almost 0.8 mil XP, some great progress throughout the day. Let's move on to day 255. So I'd done a little bit of this the night before and had finally finished all of it today. Needed to do 250 laps of the Barbarian Advanced course in order to unlock the Agile top, and then do a lap with that equipped in order to finish the Firminic Elite task set. Was so tedious, especially considering, you know, the fact that this is kind of outdated as a training method now that we have the Elf City course, but was definitely worth it in order to get this task set done, get those lamps, just make this progress toward that that Taskmaster, toward all of those great things that I want to get before I max. Again, was a massive pain in the ass, and I hated doing it, but I know that it will be worth it. Not to mention, though, it does also look really nice in NXT, so I guess that kind of made it a lot easier than it would have been if I was stuck doing that in Java. Again, of course, putting those lamps into divination just because divination is an incredibly slow skill, not something I like to train, and you guys know me, I'm not motivated enough to do cache as much as I should just because I see that 5-minute warning, and I think, okay, yeah, I'll go do cache, and then I wind up doing something else, and then I realize that it's like a minute or 2 after cache started, and I'm like, you know what, it's too late, whatever, forget it. And, you know, that happens like 16 times every day. So, of course, the XP in divination is super helpful. A farming trip after that, though, got me to 96 farming, which is nice. Not only just as a really cool milestone, but it does unlock the Wishing Well bush. See, I don't know where all of the bush patches are, but I know that there was, or is one, in Cruis. And I do the herb patch there for my Jack of Trades every day. So what I do is I also plant a wishing well bush while I'm doing that run because they're right next to each other, and it gets me an extra well over 2k XP. I think it's around 2.2k just to harvest it, and it's well over 200k or 200 XP, not 200k, 200 XP to plant it. So it's not a whole lot, but getting an extra 2 to 2.5k XP per day, maybe more if I actually remember to do it more often, will definitely add up, and I'm glad to be able to do this, although it's really not the biggest deal. Now, it wasn't until I had made my way to the Sandstone, was considering ending the day, that I realized that the Twin Furies Reaper I had just done was my 50th Reaper assignment, which is cool. It gets me an extra 50 Reaper points. And of course, the standard XP drop, but getting an extra 50 Reaper points is really, really good. Making progress toward another Hydrix, something I'm very, very excited about. And just kind of shows how doing all of these Reaper tasks will benefit me a lot in the long run. It's just something I really, really need to grind out and stick through. Again, though, I did end the day there at 2554 total level and 267.667 mil XP. Let's move on to day 256. Beginning the day working on a Bandit Reaper, got 93 attacks. That was really cool. After that, I decided to do some dungeoneering, and you know what? I ran into an Edemu. And even more exciting, I got a blood necklace, and I believe this is the first Edemu I actually had the level to kill when I saw it. Any Edemu I'd seen previously in dungeoneering was before I was 90 Slayer. Granted, I am 95 now, so I'm quite a ways past that, but getting a blood necklace is just so exciting, not only just because it's a very rare drop, but because it's very, very useful in dungeoneering as a whole, not only as a great item, but as someone who likes to rush through floors as fast as you can. Blood necklace is really good for that because of the extra DPS it puts out. And I know I sound super elitist about this, and I am, but again, I am so happy to have this as one of my bind slots. Other than that, was not a very eventful day. 2555 total level and 269.2 mil XP. Let's move on to day 257. Getting a level 12 attuned halberd while I was working on Bandit's kill count. I actually had known that this was going to happen. At least I thought I knew, and that's why I brought the siphon. Maybe I realized I was extremely close after I got in kill count the first time and came back. Not entirely sure which it is, but regardless, got to 82 invention. Very solid progress, like most invention levels. Pretty sure it doesn't unlock really anything important at all, if anything at all. But it is still really cool progress. Getting those siphons down, getting those disassembles down, just accumulating all of that great invention XP, moving toward that 99. Now, unlike most of the Reaper tasks that I go through, I decided to actually solo this one instead of duo it. And I got a solo Tacits drop, which I know is not a big deal. They're only like 1.8 mil, somewhere along those lines. But it was still really cool. A nice, again, like a personal milestone for me to be able to go out on this account to God Wars Dungeon and get drops without anyone's help. Just felt so, so good. Loot from the task after I teleported out afterward was around 2.7. Again, I'm pretty sure the Tacit sold for like 200k under mid, so it wasn't quite that, but for me to solo a task and get, to call it 2.5 mil, and leaving right after the task is done, just because, I've got a warped tortoise for my carrying of the bones, as opposed to being able to yak them. So I wasn't able to stay for very long at all, and being able to make this much in such a short amount of time was just so, so cool. Similar to the Bandos, decided to do solo Krill. I believe this was for a Krill Reaper, but it may have been for a Greater Demon task regardless, though. Got to 95 magic, which is very nice, especially considering this unlocks Fire Surge, the highest tier fire spell, and the highest tier spell, I believe, that you can actually use in the normal spell book and maybe in all spell books. So very, very exciting to actually make that milestone and get that progress. Also got me a combat level, so very cool to see that coming along as well. My chaotic staff hit level 12 while I was there. I don't think I left immediately after, but whenever I did leave, I did siphon rather, and got that to level, or got my invention to level 83 because of that. Unlocks a bunch of components, as well as a charge strain reduction and junk chance reduction, just things that I typically like to unlock. And these alone give a lot of really good XP, so that was very, very good to actually hit a level that is somewhat productive. Even if I'm not going to use most of these things, it's productive in giving me XP to move toward the next level. Yet another cache done. I know you guys are going to be super proud of me for this. Got myself to 95 divination, gets me to the top tier wisps. These did actually used to be pretty good money per hour if you were just converting everything to energy. Unfortunately, I don't really think they're as good as they used to be, which is kind of a shame because I'd always thought of, maybe when I max, there's kind of AFK wisps for money whenever I really want to just like make decent AFK cash, but unfortunately that's not really going to look to be the case regardless if I do actually need to train straight out divination instead of caches. I'm finally at a point where I can do it at the maximum level, which is so cool. Now, if you guys have tuned into my stream at all over the past really week and a half probably, you'll know that I've been trying to do racks, and I have had varying levels of success to say the least. And as you'll see, I die with racks having like 12.3k health left, and that's happened way more than once. It's incredibly frustrating. And the problem with that is it feels to be more so that I'm not great at the mechanics yet than it would be a problem with my gear. I could be using, brews or something. I could be bringing a sign of life, but more so, again, it feels like the reason I'm dying is because I'm not successfully avoiding mechanics that I can, and if I had done that, I would be able to get the kill. That being said, I've also died a handful of times just because I don't have enough food, and I guess I could have made that improvement through having brews, but at the same time, I am certain that once I get a yak instead of a war tortoise and I can bring, I think it's like 12 more rock tails, there will just be no reason for me to really have brews other than their obvious use, being able to eat them and maintain your adrenaline for more DPS and just like being able to get the kill more easily in that way. But this is just kind of showcasing my frustration with racks and how much I want to learn this boss, but also absolutely despise every single thing about it. That being said, I do want to make a point to state that I do understand Rack's mechanics. I know what I have to do, so please don't roast me in the comments trying to like explain everything to me, because I know what I need to do. It's just me actually practicing it and getting into the rhythm of it and not messing it up. So please don't eat me alive. I understand, I am trying my best, and I am making progress. I did end the day after that, though, at 2559 total level and 271.8 mil XP. A lot of really cool progress. Let's move on to day 258. Began this day at Zaros, God Wars Dungeon 2, Vindicta and Gorvek. Very fun boss. Sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's a massive pain in the ass. Regardless, though, finishing a Reaper task got us some solid points, some solid XP. Feels great. Shortly after that, though, because we decided to stay a little longer, we got a Crest of Zaros, which is awesome. I'm pretty sure that I had already gotten one in the series and that I had actually commentated over that. So this would be the second one, and I am super happy about that. It was like probably 19.6 mil or something. Maybe it was a little over 20. Regardless, around a 10 mil split for each of us, which is just fantastic. Feels so good to actually get a decent PVM drop. Very exciting. Total split for the instance wound up being around 11.1 mil, which is so cool. Again, this includes the crest, and I know it's not like a massive amount of cash, and it's not going to make or break really anything that happens in this account, but to get that much of a boost from a trip feels like I'm actually making progress toward any sort of notable PVM achievements, and it's just very rewarding on an emotional level. Decided to do some quests, some more, maybe some more tedious, I guess you'd call them, low-tier quests that I just didn't really have a reason to do, and technically still probably don't have much of a reason to do, but wanted to get them done out of the way. So I got the clock tower quest done pretty quick and easy. Not really a whole lot to say about it, but nice to actually have made that progress. Very similarly, right after that, I went on to do the observatory quest, and whew, I cannot tell you how badly I needed that 2.25k crafting XP. Whew, these rewards, you just cannot beat them in these low tier quests. Kind of a shame that I didn't take advantage of this at like a lower tier when I had like very bad crafting, and that would have actually meant something. But you live and you learn. Maybe I do more low tier quests on another account project in the future. Granted, I really hope I don't have to go through something like that, but if I did, I would definitely knock out more lower tier quests because these rewards mean nothing at higher tiers. After that, decided to finish knocking out the easy Mauritania task set, which is pretty cool, making progress toward that elite diary and toward that taskmaster. Still a very long ways off of finishing this diary, though. Like, even speaking personally now where I am, looking back, however many days it's been, just because you need to complete temple trekking in order to complete the Mauritania Elite task set. But it is still cool to make the progress. You can, even, as little as that progress may be. Funny enough, while working on another Mauritania task set, I actually got 96 firemaking while I was cremating corpses, which is kind of cool, in that, it's kind of a very tedious and not really worth it task in many regards, other than just going for 200 corpses for the task, maybe 500 corpses to upgrade any sort of blister wood sort of gear. I guess even the sun spear now, looking back. But, it's not anything special, but it is so cool to actually have made some sort of meaningful progress other than, tedious task set progress. End of the day right there, though, at 2560 total level and 273.2 million XP. Let's move on to the 259. I went on to complete the medium task set as well. Similar to before, like the easy task set doesn't really mean a whole lot. It's not super special. I guess that this task set does mean that my Morcella mushrooms in Canifest will no longer get disease, which is nice. Definitely very nice, because I like to do those in my farming run. And they do make me a decent amount of money. I don't want to say decent amount of money, but it does add up and makes good progress in the right direction. So being that they won't die on me is a very nice thing. Hopefully we'll make progress toward that elite, though, because when you have the elite task set done, you get a double harvest from both, I believe, of the Morcella patches. So would be very nice to have that, but we're gonna take what we can get for now. Working on an automaton task. Now, speaking from the perspective of PandaForce on my old account, I had never actually ranged these. I had usually, I think pretty much always used magic just because I was trying to get the melee gloves. So I had never really experienced how easy it was to range these, because ranging these is a lot easier than dealing with the melee ones. Was very, very happy to deal with that. Regardless, got to 95 ranged and 98 HP. So making some awesome progress in combat skills through this task. Very, very exciting to be just getting that much closer toward both of these 99s, really, and seeing how great Slayer has been for this account. After that, though, I did go to Kree. I can't remember if I had a Kree Death task or an AVNC Slayer task. Whichever it was, doesn't really matter. I did get another effigy. Super exciting. I need to be doing more God Wars Dungeon 1, apparently, just because from rewatching all these clips, it's kind of striking me how, maybe not how common effigies are, but how much more common they are than anywhere else. And let's be honest, some effigies would be really, really awesome to have on this account. Let me tell you, I would be so excited to get more of those. Now, I had finally accumulated a decent amount of Slayer points to be able to put another tool, I guess you would say, in my tool belt. Decided I really wanted to put my my Bone Crusher in my tool belt. Main reason being that there have been some tasks, I guess, that I forget it because I don't remember whether certain monsters drop bones or not, and I really don't like having to click through the bones, and I also really like the passive prayer XP, even though, of course, I am 99. 120 prayer is by far my favorite 120 in the game. Like, you guys have no idea how much I love that cape. And obviously, I'm not going to get there with the Bone Crusher, but any amount of help will definitely add up and make a lot of progress. I mean, not to give big spoilers, I guess, but looking at my account right now, I'm well over 15 mil prayer XP. And I haven't actually bought prayer XP since I got 99, so that's over 2 million XP that has been done pretty much exclusively through Bone Crusher, and maybe some tiny lamps and stuff like training agility during Heaven Voice of Saren. So, that being said, will be really, really nice to have this. Not to mention, it does free up inventory space, right? And you can't complain about that. Anyway, another level 10 disassemble of that Royal Crossbow does get me a fat 540k XP drop, but it does not get me a level, sadly enough, but need to kind of showcase the XP drop. Maybe I won't showcase all of the XP drops that don't get me a level, even though like they are really cool invention XP drops, just because they aren't really important unless they get me a level. But unfortunately, still 200k off of this one. End of the day a little while after that at 2562 total level and 275 million XP. Is that? Maybe it's 273. It's kind of hard to see on my screen. I kind of look at the clips and commentate over them as I go. But regardless, let's move on to day 260, the last day of this episode. Now, beginning this day, I had finally gathered enough people to get the blood tab I needed for the Mauritania Heart task, and by gathered enough people, I mean waited until Great Orb Project was on Spotlight, because other than that, there are just not people willing to deal with around a Great Orb Project. And I mean, I guess you can't really blame them. Very tedious minigame in general, not something I really enjoyed, not something I'm really good at, so you know, you do what you got to do. Happy to actually have this task set done, though. After that was working on a Greater Demon task, mostly just because I didn't want to go back to Curl to finish the whole thing. It can be kind of tedious, especially considering, you know, I am solo, and there's only 2 Greater Demons per kill, as opposed to, like, if you're doing aviancies where there's 4. So kind of tedious, but I did get 96 range dollars here, which is very nice. And looking back, I don't know why I have forgotten for so long that there's Greater Demons in Caradel's dungeon. I always wind up going to Brimhaven when I want to finish this task up, and it always feels so shitty and so noob that I'm here. But, you know, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, I'm just an idiot. I could have gone to Caradel's, where it's like a bajillion times better in literally every way. Now, I went to the Invention Guild, decided to unlock a handful of components. Whether I would use them or not, I decided I might as well. They give really solid XP drops, and I did that until I got to an 84 Invention. Again, like most levels, doesn't really give anything, but it is really cool progress toward that 99. I'm at 18 million Invention XP, and you need what, like 32? Maybe 36. I think it's 36 actually, for 99, so I'm halfway there, which is pretty great. Had an ice strike worm task after that. Love ice strike worms, honestly. I think they're such a fun task, just not only in terms of like, oh, you get some good money, they're really good XP, but in terms of being able to see yourself hit like 11Ks and shit like that it's just like, it's very rewarding. I know it's very easy to do, but it just looks awesome, and it's something that's makes Slayer kind of enjoyable, like extra enjoyable in that regard. So it's something I really, really enjoy when I get this sort of task. But I got 96 Slayer. This does unlock all of the, yippee, really great high-level Slayer monsters that most people hate all of. I haven't gotten any of these tasks yet, and I'm kind of crossing my fingers that I don't for a long time, because I don't really look forward to doing any of these for the most part. I know some of their drops can be okay, but for the most part, they just don't really seem worth it, and it's not something that I think I would particularly enjoy. Now, shortly after that was the end of the day, and of course, in turn, the end of the episode. We're looking at 2565 total level and 277.3 million XP. We have actually done a lot more in this episode than I expected. A lot of these more recent episodes I've almost needed to cram more days into, just because I've been at a lack of content because levels have been so spaced out. But getting all of those task sets done really helped a lot. Had some pretty cool drops in terms of, like, what was it, 3 effigies and a crest of Zaros on top of Visage and Tassets. Really can't say no to that. I mean, all in all, not a whole lot of really, really monumental special things in this episode, but I am very, very satisfied with all of the progress that's been made. Hope you guys enjoy it too. Make sure you stick around for the next episode. Hopefully, will be coming in the very near future. We'll be looking at episode 41 when that comes out. And again, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a beautiful day. Stay happy. Cannot wait to see you in the next episode, because I will return and I will rebuild.